Hey, my name is Tom and welcome to this YouTube tutorial about Web3 Modal V2. So today we're going to work on a React/Next.js app that's going to instantiate the modal so we can talk to dApps. And then we're also going to use a library called wagmi, which allows us to interface with smart contracts. So to get started, I'm just going to go through some slides about Web3 Modal V2 and how it works. And then we can get started in the code base. And I'll also be leaving some links towards my GitHub, which has all the template code so that you can get started and hack on this. And feel free to leave some questions below. So let's get started.
So this is the Web3 Modal tutorial. All right, so we're going to go through what it is, a demo of what you'll be making, and then going through the code. So some of you might be familiar with Web3 Modal V1. Kind of looks like this. You might see a few more boxes. But essentially back in the day, a few years ago, it was only kind of difficult. It was quite difficult to connect to other wallets. So MetaMask was really the only option. And then WalletConnect came along and then kind of made a cool innovation around that side of things for connecting compatible wallets through a QR code. And then, yeah, so just a disclaimer, I do work at WalletConnect. So anyway, so they came out with Web3 Modal, and it allows you to go to both connect to MetaMask, WalletConnect, and a few other cool wallets. So this is what happens. You click on like a button, it says Connect Wallet. This pops up, and then you can also have the option of scanning QR codes with a compatible wallet. So it's pretty cool, but it's been a few years and the V1 is kind of shutting down. So, the company started to work on V2, which is, upgrading the design of things as well as making it more multi-chain and adding more features on top of it. So the connection is pretty fast and cool, which is really interesting. And essentially the one-liner or TLDR is it connects to apps and wallets. So right now it also supports multi-chain within the Ethereum virtual machine networks. And soon enough, my understanding is like Solana or Cosmos and stuff will be worked on. So these ecosystems don't have to recreate these kind of packages. Yeah, and then there's a popular package called wagmi that a lot of people in the space use, and just very easy to connect with wallets, smart contracts, and then hit those endpoints. So we're going to be using that in a bit, and supports React, HTML, and a standalone version. So yeah. Cool. So this is the tutorial we're going to be working on. So essentially this is the outcome, quite simple. This is the tutorial outcome and code that we'll end up coding. So right now, I'm just going to disconnect this. You'd press connect wallet, click to MetaMask, and voila. So it shows your ETH, the network, your address, and you can disconnect. And essentially we're going to be using wagmi to help us connect to a NFT smart contract, which allows us to mint it. So I'm not going to mint it right now, but I think you get the point here. Cool, so let's get started in the code, but as a developer, you kind of have to read documentation, right? And all the links below, I'll share below. So web3modal.com is their site. So some cool stuff here. You can like change colors, and do some cool light mode, dark mode. Yeah, so feel free to check it out for more information, but then like I said, we're going to go to documentation. And please read it if you have more time, but I'm going to get stuck into it. So we're going to be using React, and a few things you have to understand is you need a project ID in order to be able to write and use this modal. So yeah, so packages, I usually use yarn, so I'll probably use yarn add, etc. You're going to do some various imports and then configure those imports and kind of put it down with a wagmi config and then a Web3 modal config. So it's kind of cool that you don't have to wrap this around the components like you would usually see in React. So I kind of like that. Awesome. So now let's get started in the code. I am going to switch here. Cool. So I have nothing in this folder. Let me check even though I write this stuff all the time, I do forget. I should know this. I'm going to use TypeScript. Web3 Modal tutorial. Yes. 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 Cool. So let's go back to documentation. So in the meantime, I would suggest going to WalletConnect Cloud. I just signed in, but so you would connect your wallet here. Switches to Ethereum, that's fine. Continue. I'm going to sign a message probably. Okay. So I'm going to do this. So here I want to make a new project. So let's call this Web3. Okay, so we have some sort of project ID we can use later. Awesome. So just to share something, this is what we'll be doing. So we've gone through what Web3 Modal is, we've gone through the documentation, we're starting to use Nextjs to kickstart the React app. We're going to install the different configs, and then we'll, this is I guess the big part here, we write some code, and then eventually in order to help us mint the NFT. And to do that, we're actually going to use something called Zora, so we don't have to write the smart contract. And then make it all happen, and by the end of it, we should be able to mint a lovely image. Awesome. So let's get started here. I'm going to get started. So first of all, let's go here, source, pages, cool, app, index. So I am going to yarn dev. Oops. cd into Web3 Modal and yarn dev. So I'm going to use, okay, I will, yeah, it's fine. We can use local 3001. So I was running the outcome of it here. So this is what we should get. That's pretty, if you haven't used Nextjs, feel free to check it out. But okay, so we have all of this template code, which is awesome. So what we want to do is we want to configure stuff here, right? So I'm going to yarn add all of these packages. Ooh. Oh, what's happening? Okay, so all right, let's see how this goes. We already have a project ID, which is fine. I am going to import all of this stuff here. Just for now, let's do that until it's all ready. And it seems like we need some of this stuff, which I will explain.
A few minutes later.
Okay. Well, I hope you're having a lovely day. Whenever we install package, it takes a while. Awesome. So we are now ready. So I am going to import all of this stuff. Cool. It's not used. And now let's do this stuff. So great. I don't think I'll use this for now, but let's go through it. So we're going to import the Ethereum client, which we will use it a bit later, modals connecting, and then a wallet provider. So you can dig deeper into documentation to understand it, but I'm going to try and go through this as quick as possible so it's easy to understand. This is wagmi, the package that allows us to read and write to smart contracts in an easy way. These are the chains. I'm actually going to use Girly here. So this is a testnet of Ethereum. So that should be that. Okay, and let's understand this. So this is wagmi client. So we also use WalletConnect, and then we're going to import your project ID here. Yeah, so you can paste that in there. And then you can create client, call this Web3 Modal tutorial, and cool. So it seems like we have some stuff ready there. And let's revisit the documentation here. So we want to configure wagmi to wrap around this component. So let me just write a fragment to move this here, and voila. Okay, and then I'm gonna write wagmi here. Let's put this component here, and I'm gonna use this. So it's going to go here. Oh, so I do need this, my bad. Okay, so this is essentially everything you need to get started. Make sure to put your project IDs here. I'm going to quickly, I haven't figured out how to do like development tutorials to hide your blank out screens. So just pause for a minute, put your project IDs in, and then it should run. Awesome. So I hope you've fixed up all your project ID and it works. And now we are going to work on our index file. And once again, .m files should strongly be recommended when you're using some sort of ID and settings like that. So just for time's sake, I'm going to, not for time's sake, but just in general, just going to restart it. And it should load without any errors, which is a good thing. So, no errors. I think that's just my extension. Awesome. So what we're going to do is actually go to our index.tsx file where we're going to be writing most things. I am just going to delete a lot of things that I don't need. What is happening? Why are you doing this to me? I should know the shortcut to collapse. But anyway, so I'm going to write a div. And wonderful, I have GitHub Copilot. So let's just see this. Looks all right. And what we're going to do is we are going to use hooks later. But right now we're going to use a component called Web3 button, which just makes things easier. We import it, and it's pretty magical. It's pretty quick in how Web3 Modal has just made this, and you can customize it as well. But yeah, so let's see how that works. I've already connected, but it's pretty cool. Now we have this, we can connect. My MetaMask connects, this is my address, this is how much ETH I have. Pretty cool stuff. Very quick and seamless, and in objective opinion. So I also want to show you something cool with this. So use Web3 Modal theme. So import this, use this theme thing here. I'm going to set theme to theme color. Let's go for my style, which is black and white. Sometimes GitHub Copilot doesn't listen. And let's see, kind of changed. And yeah, this has got it. So once again, you can change different things. I think you can even change like orange. I'm going to revert. Awesome. So we have this right now. We haven't got much styling. You can do all that towards the end, but we essentially have this part ready. We've got this title, and now let's put a mint button and an image. Right? Awesome. So now we are going to add in the image. It's going to be just the actual image file, and then we can work on the minting function. So let's use Nextjs's image, which I don't always remember. But before that, we need an image of some sort. So I'm going to use the image that was shown in the demonstration. So this is a cool thing that our designer made a while ago. So I'm going to use that. So before we use that, I'm going to go into public, drop this JPEG, and yeah, so now I can actually refer to a source. So source, I think it's this way. JPEG, cool. I think you need a width of 500 and a height of 500. And I think you need a title, which would say Gateway to Web3. Cool. I need an alt as well. Cool, it's there. We can do styling stuff later. Don't like how this looks. Okay, so now let's work on our mint function. Just gonna be pretty cool. But before you mint an NFT, you need a smart contract to interact it with, right? So as I mentioned before, there's this one thing here called Zora, which is a NFT platform, but they do some really cool stuff in the space, both for developers and for creators. So like I mentioned, and in our config, we're going to use Girly. Sure, let's connect. So I have 0.1 Girly ETH, and I got this from this faucet a while ago, like yesterday or something. So I'm not going to go through that process, but make sure you load your MetaMask with some ETH so you can mint a contract as well as interact with it. So connect wallet to continue. Okay, I'm going to create a collection. Awesome. So we're going to do additions. And I am going to I've already pre-filled some stuff out, but just gonna put price at whatever, start end time whenever. Anyone can mint, unlimited mints, 1% royalty to myself because I'll be rich, and then create. So usually, you would deploy your own smart contract, but this is just kind of like I guess a quicker method and like a easy platform that allows you to do that. So hopefully, this will go through as a transaction. So right now it's pending. And essentially we just kind of made our own NFT collection. It's pretty cool. I think it's just getting included in the block. So I'm going to revisit this. So let's go back to our code. So what we want right now, we want this and we want a mint contract. All right, so make a really unsexy button, but let's just say I think you're just right, actually. Let's see what this turns out to be. Pretty big, actually. Cool. So once again, we probably need some styles, right? Just to make sure the ranking of it. Let's put this to the side. I'm going to, oops, let's leave the image there. Let's kind of do that. Wrap this thing in a div. put that there. And yes, usually use a style sheet, and don't do inline styles, but for time's sake, just click it. Should be a column. Cool. And just for cool, let's make this a bit smaller. Okay, so we have this, and we have this mint function. Let's just test the console, right, just to make sure we have a click function. Clicked. Oops. Cancel. Click. Awesome. So now let's kind of think about how do we mint, right? So I'm just going to show you how it's done just with a beautiful UI that's already been done by Zora, and then how we're going to implement it, right? So minting, we, it console logs, and what we want to do is go to the page, the overview page that it showed, go to purchase page, and voila, a really cool thing, it's deployed by this, it does this. So just to show, I'm going to mint it, costs very little. And this is using the actual interface, which we're essentially going to try and emulate with less pretty design. So I create an addition with this contract, and I think the TX should update. Purchase. Maybe it's a cache thing. Cool. It was a cache thing. So I've purchased, so mint purchased, right? So here, let's look at this contract. Cool. So this is our Web3 Modal V2 drop contract at this address. And we just purchased. So if we look at this, should be able to. Awesome. So this is our contract that we've purchased from. It's had that. So it's actually not a normal contract. Don't worry about too much of the intricacies, but it is a proxy contract. So just go to this section, verify it, save, and return here. So we press contract, and now we see some more options here. So if we read and write, so we can read and write into contracts. So let's check the name, Web3 Modal V2 drop, which is awesome. And then write is when you push towards the blockchain, is we purchase. So awesome. So that's now what I'm going to show you with use contract read and use contract write. So awesome. So let's go to our code, check our app, and we are going to first of all read to show you how to read to blockchain data and then to write to blockchain data, right? So we want to read towards the contract using use contract read. So let's import use contract read. Here we no longer use account, so we can kind of get rid of that. Awesome. So use contract read, import, and let's just copy paste to this right now. And this is the okay, so it wants the address of our smart contract, which is this one, correct? And there's this thing called ABIs, which kind of help you write towards the endpoint of the smart contract that you've deployed. There's like nothing you need to worry too much about. So I'm just going to copy this to a clipboard. and within source, I'm going to call this ABI, and then a new file called tutorial ABI.json. Paste, format, and let's go back to here, and I'm going to import that ABI that we just did. So import tutorial ABI from ABI's tutorial JSON and paste. Cool. And we're actually we don't have this thing called get hunger on this read contract. We have just the name, right? Which is NAME. So let's just do this. And you know, nothing has happened. They don't like, cannot resolve. That's fine. Let's just do something. Oh, no, that's why. What happened? What is going on? It should work. Okay, that was a bit strange. Awesome. So nothing is really happening yet. But now, if we visit our documentation, we now have data. So that's good. That's not the right one. So I am just, for the sake of it, just going to write here. Name is equal to name. Oh, they don't like what I'm doing, but that's fine. Cool. So the name there, something is not working. It says name does not exist on this contract. Okay, so let's check why this contract. Okay, I just time skipped, but I figured out the problem is we were just copying the wrong ABI into the contract. So this one was using the incorrect ABI. So what I actually, instead of copying it from this code, is we want to read from this code and get this ABI. Don't worry, it's quite complicated, but usually this is just, you know, smart contracts. Copy, paste, and now if we go back, it should re-render like that, right? Awesome. So that's the reading part, and then for the writing part, that's where we're minting, or quote unquote purchase, right? So let's go to contract write. So usually it recommends to use two things, use prepare contract and use contract write. So it prepares the contract just to know that it's going to quote unquote go through, and then it writes to it. So you'll see in a bit. Let's put in these. Let's do this. Okay. Once again, we're going to copy paste this contract here. Contracts, do the specific ABI there, and this one should be called purchase. And to make sure we don't make the same mistake as just then, purchase is a contract, payable contract that we can use. So I'm just going to call this read. Oh no, that's fine. I'm going to call this the mint NFT. Awesome. So what we're going to do is prepare it to read to the contract, and then we're going to be able to mint, which is going to be pretty cool. So right now, something is loaded, is prepared. Okay, we don't want this stuff right now. Ignore this. So we're essentially going to press, let's check our console log if anything's broken. It says missing arguments. Okay, So if you usually, let's look at this contract. Is this the right one? Writing now. So if we want to purchase, we actually need to provide some inputs of how many NFTs we want, and also how much in payable amount of ether we want to provide it with, right? And it has to be the right amount. So the config, we only actually have to do arguments of one. I just want one NFT, and it should calculate how much it costs. So now let's check. Okay, so I figured out the issue. So we mentioned that we need two arguments here, but usually it's kind of worked where I only had to just pass in the quantity, so it's a bit different this time. But I overrode it with the value of ethers of 0.001, and then we pass in the argument of one quantity of NFTs. So I know this has become more front-end plus a lot of Solidity smart contract understanding, but those two go hand in hand to be able to write and read and write and connect with dApps. So I'm going to see what happens here. Nothing. Let's check this. Actually, I think if we do this, no, this, I think this should work. Awesome. So we are nearly there. Confirm. We haven't done any transaction, like you have completed success stuff. That can be added on later. But once this succeeds, we are finished. Reload, 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 reload. Pending. It's gonna come soon. Okay, this isn't fun. Come on, crypto stuff. Yay, okay, 31 seconds ago it was purchased. So we are now done. So we used Web3 Modal, which is the first part of the project and understanding it. We used wagmi to read to contracts, and then we used wagmi use contract write to be able to write to contracts. So amazing job, and let me know in the comments below any feedback, anything you get stuck on, and all of the code will be in the description below. So awesome. Thank you so much. Cheers.